Here's my
Hello.
little man. Oh, baby. Hello, Matthew.
Say hi to them. Uy.
You're getting a big boy. Eh?
Looks like 2 months, they said.
Yeah.
Uy, Matthew.
My God.
He's Pogi,
You're
right?
gonna be a big man like
Daddy Pogi.
yeah, like
No, joke lang.
yeah, like James, one of my eldest sons. He's 6'7". I said I wasn't going to do it, but I've got some subscribers that want me to show you the computer build, which I've started it, so it's a bit like closing the stable door, isn't it? I should have done it from scratch, but I haven't got the heart to disassemble it, to reassemble it, to show you how to assemble it. But I'm going to show you anyway. So what we have here is a Huey box. Now that's the fan light controller box that you need when you've got multiple fans, because the fans that I've chosen link into each other, which saves space on the motherboard, because there's only like about 4 fan headers on the motherboard, and it just makes it difficult. But I've come into a little bit of a problem with the USB headers, and I don't like this with the power. Instead of it being a SATA connection, or SATA, however you want to pronounce it, it's a Molex connection, which has made me have to add another wire, another power wire to the power supply, and it's just put more wires in the box, which I didn't really want. Now, yesterday I received my i7 processor, and I also received my Hyper 212 CPU cooler. I'm not going to do an unboxing because I hate unboxings. They're a waste of time and they bore people, especially me. I'll just fast forward. Now it looks like there's a stock fan come with this. Now the stock fans are okay as long as you don't overclock your CPU, which I'm not going to do anyway. But I bought this, the Cooler Master, because they've got some really good write-ups, and even if you overclock, as long as you don't go to the limit, these should be more than sufficient. But like I say, I'm not going to overclock, so it's a bit irrelevant. So I'm just gonna that's my processor gone. So I'll just turn this round into the light so you can see it. This is the Gigabyte motherboard, and this is the problem I've got. I need 3 USB headers and I've only got 2. So it's not really a problem because I've ordered a splitter. Well, not a splitter as such, but it just adds more USB slots basically. Because I'm not in a rush, because I haven't got all the parts yet, so you know, there's no big rush to get it up and running. So the light controller controls these fans here. Look, these all light up, and I have 3 in the front as well. Now this fan here, look, I've ordered another one of these fans to put in this place, so this will all light up as well. Now what I find strange is it's quite a good case, it's quite a good quality case, yet the fan they've put on, if you notice, it's only got 3 pins on it, but all the fan headers have 4 pins. Now it's fine, you can still connect it to the 4 pin. The problem is that the motherboard can't control the speed of the fan, so there's no control over it. So what happens is when you turn the power on, it just goes at a constant speed, whether it has to be at that speed or not, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I find that quite strange, that supply a fan but it's only 3 pin. So it'd be no good anyway. I would have had to took it off and get a 4-pin so the airflow can be controlled. The next thing is I've actually put the bracket for the cooler fan already on. Now what normally happens is these motherboards come with a stock bracket, but this one didn't. Because it's a gaming PC, they know that you're going to put a bigger cooler on, or a water cooler. Now the reason again I didn't choose the water cooler is it's not necessary unless you're going to overclock your CPU. So it's nearly done now. There's really not a lot left. I'm just waiting obviously to get the rest of the parts to put it together, and then once I put it together I'll show you all lit up and working, and hopefully there'll be no faulty parts and nothing wrong. But I can remember back when I built my first PC back in the UK, and it was a nightmare because there was jumpers and you had to move the jumpers to get the motherboard to see your hard drive, your C drive, which was your master drive, and all the rest of it. And nowadays it's quite easy to put these together because your motherboard recognizes whatever's plugged into it, as long as it's, you know, the right connection. But you can't get the connections wrong really, because, you know, the plugs will only go into certain places. Like your USB will not plug into anything else unless it's a USB. Your SATA connections there to connect your hard drive to the motherboard so it can be read, they're a special shape. You can't get it wrong. It's really very straightforward. I've got because normally 1, 2, 3, no, that's not one. 1, 2, 3. We got four fans. You can put 4 fans onto the motherboard. So normally, unless you had this set up, you'd have to get some kind of header, some kind of junction box to plug all the fans in. I think is it Corsair? I think the Corsair, they have some kind of box that comes with them where you can plug all the different fans in. But obviously that's not the setup I've gone with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to install the processor, which is straightforward, and then we'll attempt to connect the fan and screw it to the motherboard. Here we go. So we've got the processor, look. We've took it out the box. Now that is very, very delicate. You do not touch anything inside there. You always hold it from the sides. Now, if you can see up close, it's got a little nick in there and a little nick in there, and all you do is you match that up with the motherboard like that and just drop it in. It's not gone in properly. There you go. Let's give it a little wiggle. That looks to me like it's in. You are, baby? That looks okay? Yeah. And then you push this down like that, and that's your processor fixed in place. Now that's not broke, that was just covering all the little pins up. So that comes off when you push it down. So the next thing is the heatsink fan. Right, it's time to put the fan on, but before we can do that, we've got to put some of this paste on it. You put it on about the size of a pea.
What is that for?
It's so there's a contact between the heatsink and the processor. That won't dry up. It'll always be wet, so it'll keep that contact. You could use butter, you could use anything initially, but obviously it'd dry up. So once it dried up, it wouldn't work. So this is going to be a bit. Do you know what? I'm going to put a little bit doesn't look very good, but once the heat sink's on, it'll spread it all out. There. Here's the heat sink, and in theory all these should line up. So you start with one end first, and then go to the other side, so do them diagonal. And a tip is always use a magnetic screwdriver. It's essential, especially when you're putting loose screws into the board. This doesn't feel like it's going in, babe. Oop. That is now. That's going in. Screw them down till they stop. Don't try and over tighten them. There, it's stopped. And do them from side to side. Don't try and like go there, then go there, then go there, because it just evenly pushes it down on the processor. Stopped. There you go. That's not going anywhere. So what we need next is the fan. Now I can show you, for example, you know I showed you this one earlier on. That fan's coming off. You can see the difference. That's a 3-pin and that's a 4-pin. So now we've got to look for the CPU header fan, which is either one of them two here, and they'll only go on one way once we put the fan on. So we want it on the side of the CPU so the wire doesn't stick out. Oh, that went on quite easy, didn't it? There you go. So let's get the wire and put it on, so it looks like it goes that way. It's a bit difficult, but yeah, that's it, got it on. So that's it. That's another couple of jobs done. That's the heatsink fan and the processor connected. That's about it. So I've just got to wait till I get the memory, which goes in here. Look, there'll be 4 8GB sticks that go in there, and there'll be RGB, meaning they'll all light up. This lights up, but I can't control it. It's red. What I thought was, because it was cheaper to get an RGB one, to get this bit and then change the fan to one of my other fans at a later date. So that's what I've done. So this'll probably be just temporary until such time as I get another fan. So that's it, guys. That's the only hardware I have to show you. So be careful I don't scratch the table. So there you are. That's what it looks like. Now it would be, no, it's fine. I was going to say, that's one thing you've got to be aware of. I did check it, but it looked like it was a bit long there. If you get one of these fans make sure your case is wide enough so you can get your side panel on. Now both my side panels are tempered glass, so you can see straight into the case, so when everything's lit up and working it'll look really good. But like I say, it's just this USB thing. I've only got 2 USB headers and I need at least 3. Now that's where your SATA cables are plugged in, and there's 2 SATA cables. So there's a few assumptions with these motherboards. It's crazy because the old 5.5 inch drives are being phased out. Well, not so quickly, but they will be phased out to the 3.5 inch and 2.5 inch. A lot of these new cases don't accommodate 5.5s anymore, so I guess they're making the motherboards to suit now. But this is it, it's nearly there, guys. Like I say, it's just the memory, the storage, keyboard, mouse and Windows 10, and then we're up and running. We're going. What I want to do first though, before I start putting Windows on, I fire the PC up, the motherboard up, and I have a look to see what the firmware is on the motherboard. Then I'll go on to Gigabyte site, download the latest firmware and put the latest firmware on the motherboard before I actually put Windows 10 on. And the same with the video card. When that's plugged in, I'll go onto the NVIDIA website and get the latest driver before I start using it, and then we know everything's up and running right. I hope you found this video interesting, if nothing else, and we'll see you on the next one. So, bye from my little baby Matthew, who's such a good little boy and is always asleep.
Like Dad.
Yeah, like Dad, like Mummy. Mummy's always asleep.
Before, but now, no.
Two things close to a Filipina's heart, and that's food and sleeping, isn't it? Siesta. So till the next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name, grasping